A lot going on nationally, but right now I want to talk about some local politics for a moment. New Mexico state lawmakers are heading back to the Roundhouse this week for Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham's public safety special session. It's been in the works for months now, and with just 3 days left to finally get prepared, it seems legislative leaders aren't feeling very confident about some of the governor's top goals. Let's turn now to our Griffin Rushton, who sat down with both Democrat and Republican leadership in the House. So Griffin, what's their outlook now just 3 days away?
Well, there's a strong sense of wariness, and that's coming from both sides of the aisle. The governor is pushing lawmakers to address some extremely complicated issues, including New Mexico's behavioral health laws. And while there are still plenty of disagreements on the fine print, with just 3 days to go, it seems Democrat and Republican leaders can agree on one pretty big thing.
The unintended consequences of passing something that is not ready are far too great.
Democratic Speaker of the House Javier Martinez.
Unfortunately, it feels a little bit like the governor's throwing spaghetti up against the wall to see what sticks.
And Republican House Floor Leader Rod Montoya appear to be on the same page when it comes to Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham's special session agenda.
We just don't think that a special legislative session is the place to do it, given how complex these bills are. What we do know is that these are very, very complicated areas of law. As one of my colleagues said, this is actually kind of rocket science.
He's talking about the governor's plan to rework New Mexico's criminal and civil competency laws, proposals that consume nearly half a dozen legislative meetings ahead of the special session and are still far from the finish line.
The committees that have seen these bills have seen variation after variation after variation of bill that, frankly, the legislators are unwilling to bite on any one of them.
But that's not because lawmakers don't support the big picture idea.
Do I think that these things need to be addressed? Absolutely. Will they have an impact? Yeah, they will.
And not for lack of trying either.
We've been working diligently and very hard over the past several weeks. 6 dedicated interim committee meetings to these issues, countless staff hours, countless legislative hours, working on these different concepts. We just don't think that we're in a place where there's agreement.
But it seems both sides do believe the special session may be much shorter than anticipated.
We're not even sure necessarily if there will be a session, or if there is a session. We don't know if we're going to walk in and gavel down because there's no consensus and walk out the door. Whether
or not we have a special session, whether or not it lasts 15 minutes or it lasts a day, this work is going to continue, right? A special legislative session is not the end-all be-all for these issues.
Yeah, some optimism from the Speaker of the House there. You know, another big issue here, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, they say it's the price of the special session. It costs taxpayers roughly $50,000 a day to bring lawmakers back to the Roundhouse. And without some sort of consensus ahead of time, there's a lot of fears that that money could go to waste.
Also, some hangups we're told when it comes to a big issue, that's the competency bills. What are those?
Yeah, it seems lawmakers want more time to address the constitutional concerns. These bills would essentially force some New Mexicans into behavioral health treatments against their will, and as you can imagine, there are a lot of potential issues there. Some lawmakers also raise concerns about the simple lack of behavioral health resources across New Mexico, and they've suggested that these bills may be putting the cart before the horse, so to speak.
Yeah, of course, remember the next session is going to be 60 days in the wintertime. This time it was 30. The special session could be 2 days, could be 15 seconds. We'll see how long it goes.
We'll see, exactly.
We'll learn that later this week. All right, Griffin, thank you so much.